Hi there, it's Doug. It's Sunday afternoon, mid-February. Actually, Valentine's Day here in St. Petersburg, Florida. A little cool this afternoon for us this time of year. About 50, what looks like about 57 degrees right now, so a little chilly, but not too bad. Not compared to most of the rest of the country. Got palm trees and crotons there looking a little burnt from some of our recent cold snaps, but hopefully they'll recover. Anyways, today got something to show you here. Something kind of unusual for Florida. It's my antique snowmobile. It's a 1973 Skiroule RTX 447. I've owned it since 1983. Bought it from the second owners. I was working in Portland, Oregon at the time, long before I even thought I'd ever get transferred to Florida. But it's the first one I've owned, and had it all this time. Had lots of others in between. One time I think I had 4 or 5 of them. And I've hung on to this one just because it was my first one, and I've always enjoyed messing with it. For the uninitiated, and those here in Florida certainly that haven't seen snowmobiles before, I did say Skiroule, I didn't say Skidoo. Skiroules were a pretty major player in the snowmobile business back in the 60s and right up through the mid-70s. Manufactured in Wickham, Quebec, and for many, many years they were owned by the Coleman Company. I'll show you the label there on the dashboard. Same folks, of course, as the lanterns and camp stoves and sleeping bags and whatnot. Coleman sold them sometime in the mid-70s to a fella out of Boston. I've always read about him as being a quote-unquote industrialist. I'm not sure what that was supposed to mean, but I know that the company went under shortly thereafter. All kinds of rumors about the ownership and management of the company, and well, we won't go into that. But anyways, this Skiroule here, again the 73 RTX 447, was kind of in Skiroule's heyday. Represented really the top of the industry at that time in terms of design and engineering and whatnot. Skiroule guys, of course, will recognize that this machine is not original. It's been repainted. Of course, Skiroules were famous for always being green, and it wasn't that I didn't like green. I just happened to like this particular dark red color better, as evidenced by, even to this day, my car is the same color. And coincidentally, I'm now a big Florida State University fan, and of course their colors are garnet and gold. That, again, back in '83, I had no idea that my life was going to take that direction. But anyways, yeah, it represented, like I said, the state of the art of the industry at that time, back in a time when most snowmobiles were still quite boxy and some would say actually kind of ugly. Skiroule really pushed the envelope with design, and a machine that really is still pretty good looking and to this day. But anyways, like I said, Skiroule guys will recognize that there's some things that I've done different to this machine. It's not completely original. We changed out the shocks, got bigger shocks on it, a little taller, a little more travel than the original Skiroule shocks. Rides good, and or about as good as you could expect for this era. We didn't have long travel suspension back in those days. The handlebars are supposed to be chrome, and in fact they are underneath the padding there. I just liked that look and thought it made it look a little bit more updated. Made a few changes under the hood. Here, it's the engine itself is mostly stock. It's a Sachs SA2 440C. It was an engine I believe was exclusive to the 447 RTX model. Used a chrome bore. the exact displacement was, I believe, 437 cubic centimeters. Not a super high output motor, about 40 horsepower in standard tune. This one here might be putting out just a couple of more. Again, Skiroule guys will notice that I've got a appendage coming out of the top of the airbox. Ordinarily that would be flat. The original carburetor's been replaced. It originally came with a Walbro WD series diaphragm carburetor, and I replaced it back in the mid-80s with a McCuney because I wanted a little bit more adjustability, and in order to accommodate the McCuney I had to cut a hole in the top of the airbox for the cables and the top of the McCuney. So might be flowing just a little bit more air through that than the normal ones, maybe give us another pony or two, but goes into a two-into-one exhaust and into what was really a pretty standard muffler design back in the early 70s. Nothing like the tune pipes of today, but it seems to run okay. And we go and take a peek under the fan, the cooling duct there. You can see a Comet 102C that I added. Again, a little bit better hookup, a little more responsive than the original Skiroule clutch, and certainly a lot tougher. So we got that going there. And over on this side you can see the electrics for a retrofitted electric start kit. There were several Skiroule models that came with electric start, but I don't believe this was one of them. The parts for the Sax motors to turn them into electric start were really pretty available, I think. I got the stuff to turn it into electric start from a fella that I dealt with for years up in northern Wisconsin. Did a lot of Skiroule stuff over the years. This kit here actually is out of, or was the kit to convert an older John Deere into a electric start sled, and the basic components from one to another are about the same, but it's just a matter of changing the color codes to match the stock Skiroule schematics, and then everything, of course, Skiroule guys will recognize it all happens inside that box right there, and we're all correctly color coded for 73, and everything works as it should. Probably the single most unique feature of this particular sled are these custom built wheeled skis. A couple years ago, Christmas time, I was feeling a little homesick for the north and thinking of a way to at least get the snowmobile out in the driveway, and so I dreamed up this idea of taking some old aluminum scraps I had, basically some aluminum angle, and welding a few pieces here and there to accommodate the skis so it actually still has suspension. And then we used razor scooter wheels, which seem to work pretty good. It goes real well in a straight line. They don't doesn't turn super smooth, but nonetheless it rolls, and we got 4 wheels under each one, supports the weight quite nicely, and anyways, it works pretty good. Kids get a kick out of seeing it out on the street, and of course the neighbors all think I'm crazy, but anyways, but it runs and starts real well. We'll fire it up here for you to runs pretty good, and well, we're running out of time on this video, but maybe we'll take it for a ride here in a few minutes.